Hello everyone, and I am recording now for workshop 8. We are covering market risk and we are covering also OPS and derivatives, which is week 10. So this is for week 9 and week 10. Um, since I'm going to write some of the comments, so I will just hide my video and start. If there is any question, just ask me while we are going through this. So the first question is this one, and I think, look, we have, this is just the risk matrix. Now the risk matrix, it's actually, you can have it anytime like this. In the exam, if it comes, say, in the multiple choice questions, this is what we do, right? This is the risk matrix. And it is, this is just to get the, and you have ticking, this is the deer plus the deer, if you have 3, huh? Plus the deer. And then this is square, square, square. And then you just have to add the, you have to add the correlation. And we have the correlation here between, if this is A and this is B and this is C, you have to bring the duration, the correlation of the correlation of the first one, correlation and correlation. So this will be for the dear A and dear B, and then you continue like this. You take this is A and B. This is A and C. And this is B and C. So this is A, this is dear C. And then, I mean, this is the best way to do it. And then you get dear B times dear C. Now, to do all those in the exam, you can get the matrix very fast, copy it and paste it, no problem. If it is in the essay question, if it is in the multiple choice question, no problem. You can just do the calculation. What I did, and I think you should do this do it for this and do it also for the portfolio. Portfolio of the portfolio, calculating the standard deviation for the portfolio. If you put this is what I did. And for example, I make one of the examples. I would change the numbers if it comes. And that's it. All you have to fill is this number, this number, this number. See, this is the deer for the first one. This is the deer for the second one. This is the deer for the third one. And then just put the formula. So if you see 3, for example, assets, like we did, for example, you want to change any of this. If you change any of those, so if you change, for example, this one, and you make it, for example, 10,077, automatically this will change. So if I get it back to 2077, so this, I want you to make one of those, maybe in your Excel file. All you have to fill is only this one and the correlation. And then when you have the problem, just fill if there is any changes, the same calculations. You don't have to do all these things and you are worried about whether the number right or not right. This is what I did. So when I did the problem, I was thinking to do it like this. You can have it really read in the Excel, and then you can work according to this. So when I did my calculation, I get it to be 48 1.3, and actually I get it from the Excel file, 48 1.3. And if, as I told you, any changes in this, if you prepare this in Excel, it will be easy for you to do it during the exam. You don't have to do all these calculations. The formula is already there. Okay. Let's go to the next question. Assume that the modified duration of a bond is 3.5. What is the problem here, guys? Anybody can tell me what is the problem? The problem is actually this one. The problem is this number. It doesn't fit anywhere here. So the answer is none of the above. It's 345, which is actually none of the above. Okay. This is, I think we have talked about this, and this is one of the criticism of the end days when we calculate the VAR. The answer for question number 3 is just you have to multiply this is the right answer. Just multiply it. So it's 3.5. Okay, sir. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's go to the next question. We have problem with the var here because the expectation is when you have the var, and there is a volatility in the market. If this is the time and this is the volatility, sometimes like the COVID when it happens, the volatility will jump to here. And then we will go and cool down, which means if you look at the volatility of the time of the price, if this is the price and this is the time, then you will have, for example, the price is here and then COVID come here. The assumption of the N of the dir of the var equals dir times N is they think this one will keep zigzagging all the time. So but actually what happened is it will die here. As I told you here, it will cool down. So the first day will be like this, and then the price start to, until there is, so the volatility in the second day, it will be absorbed a little bit, and the price started to settle. But there will be, a hike here, and this hike is the jump here, as I told you, the jump here, and then it will cool down. This is the volatility, if you look at the volatility, and this is the price. So here, So one criticism of the end day market value, which equals daily earning at risk, um, multiplying the D of the N, is that it assumes that the yield shocks are independent. They think the situation is like this. So they have one here, then we have one here, when we still with this, volatility. So this is one of the criticism, but actually in real life, it will go down. So the answer for this question is the multiplication here assume that it's constant, which is this assumption. And they are independent, which means this day is independent from this day, while actually they are not independent, they are dependent. So when, as I told you, the oil prices, when it was dropped that much during the COVID, when I think in March, then it cools down. The price cools down, which means no more jumping and the price. So this one is not correct, this one is not correct, and this one is not correct. Okay. So they are independent and they think it is constant. The other thing is, and that financial institution is locked to holding the assets in question for number of days. Because we have also another problem with this, because the deer is actually the losses in one day in dollar value. One of them is the N, and one of the problem is actually multiplying by this square of N, which make it like it is independent, and the other one is the value of the deer. So the value of the deer assumes that if you take for 10 days, that means we have the same deer, which means the same holdings of our investment for the 10 days. Actually, our investment, there is a trading. It will go up and down, the dollar value, and therefore the deer will go up and down. And this is one of the criticisms. So we have a problem here and we have a problem here. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. Market risk is defined as the risk related to the uncertainty of the financial institution earning on its trading portfolio. That is right. And it's caused by the changes in the market conditions. It's right. What are those markets? Changes in the interest rate and the exchange rate on the volatility rate. So we are holding all those assets. Of course, they will be impacted. Okay. Um, Monte Carlo simulations address the problem imposed by a limited number of actual observations by generating additional observations. This is true. So if I have 500 observations, they can come up to 10,000 observations. Okay, consider VAR of 100,000, 95% confidence. So when we are considering it, actually, if this is the distribution, assuming we are talking about fixed income, if we are talking about fixed income of 90%, we assume this. So we will measure from east area, this area, and we calculate this area. And that is 95% of the time, 95% of the time. So the other, if this is 95%, then this is 2.5 one tail, and this is 2.5 tails, which is 5 days out of 100 days, it will be in this area and this area, which we don't know how much is it. We don't know. We know this, and we know this. We know the area under the curve, but we don't know how much is this actually, the maximum. So this is one of the, when we say here, the information is that while we know that we will lose more than the VAR amount in 5 days out of the 100 days, we don't know the maximum amount that we can lose. So actually, we don't calculate this area. Okay. We know the area is here. This is the VAR, but we don't know what we will lose behind the VAR, which is larger than the VAR, this area. Okay. Assume a financial institution holds foreign exchange position of euro 200,000. This is just easy. So 200,000 over the exchange rate, it's this amount, 189. So this is for this one. Now for this area, I think it's better to understand this is about the loan commitment. Now, loan commitment, in terms of the fees, it's two fees. We have the upfront fee, and we have the back end fee. And this is only for the unused amount of the loan. So if we give you 100,000, in this case, this is 2.5 million loan commitment. You will charge 50 basis point, which is the upfront fees, which is 12,500. Now, how much you will get end of the year? How much you will get end of the year? This you get it beginning of the year. So how much you are going to get end of the year, assuming the following, assuming that the withdrawal, the withdrawal was only 50% of this loan commitment. So in this case, you will charge the upfront fee 2,500,000, and that 2,500,000 you can invest it for 1 year for 6%, because this is beginning of the year, it will be 13 to 50. And then because you are taking only 50% of the loan, and the unused one, you have to be charged a back end fee, which is this amount. So in this case, that be 3,125. So if you look at how much the bank made for that year, end of the year, it's 16,375, which is the back fee and the upfront fee invested for 1 year, which is this amount. Okay, I want to go out of this and I will come back to it, to 2, 3, 4, because I want to go actually to the calculation here. A borrower, this is when we talk about FRA. When you have a buyer and seller, and this is an FRA agreement. This guy will give the FRA all the time to the seller, and this will give always the market rate, whatever it is it. This is in settlement. So a borrower buys FRA from a bank with a rate of 15%. This is 15%. At settlement, the reference rate was 13%. So this guy will bring 13%. End of the day, the settlement of this contract is how much? 2%. Actually, it's 2% from buyer to seller. The buyer have all the time, the cost for the buyer all the time will be 15%. So the 15% will be 13% for the physical market and 2% for the counterparty in the derivative market. As we said now, it comes up to 15%. Okay. So it's a single payment of 2%. Actually, they don't exchange the 13% and the 15%. They only change the difference. And by the borrower, or you can say the buyer. Second one here is not different. It's not right because it's the seller. Zero payment as the counter. No, it's not zero. A single payment equivalent to 3%. It's not 3%. None of the above. It's not right. It's only this one. Now, what payment in dollars would be made and by whom to settle FRA with the following conditions? You have this 500,000, 90 days, 8%, 7%. I think I have bring this in the tutorial. So it is did anybody calculate this? So it's 115,057. A single payment of please change this. A single payment of 11,885.13. This is the right answer. And this is the calculation. So first of all, you will bring the market, and then you will bring the FRA, and then the difference between the two. And as you can see, from without even thinking, if the FRA is 8% and the market is 7%, you know for sure that the buyer will pay the seller 1%. It's just you want to know how much that in dollars, and therefore you have to calculate it according to this note formula. So we calculate according to the 7% and the 8%, and it is 11,885. Now, the most interesting problem, which I have it always, is this one. So the bank here now is same condition. It's 1 million. It's 90 days. The market is 10. The reference rate on the settlement is 10%, which is the market rate is 10%, and this is FRA when the bank is seller, and this is the FRA when the bank is buyer. Now, all you have to do now is to calculate this area first. And then calculate this area. And then get the difference between them. So if you take this, when the bank is a seller and it's 10.5 and the market is 10, which means the bank is gaining 0.5. okay? 50 basis point for sure, because the market is 10%. The market is 10%, and the FRA 2.5. So you have here 50 basis point. And this is in stage one. Now in stage two, when the bank is a buyer, a seller, when a bank is a buyer, you have the FRA was 10.1, and the bank has to pay it. And the market is 10%. So actually, it is 10 basis points. 10 basis points paid by whom? Paid by the bank, because the bank will pay 10.1 and get 10. Here, the customer will pay 10 because 10.5 and get 10. So actually, the difference between the two is 40 basis points. Now, 40 basis points, if you take the 40 basis points and multiply it, somebody would say, okay, this is 40 basis points. I just multiply it by the value of the contract, which is 1 million, and I will get how much the value of the settlement in dollars for this FRA. It doesn't work like this. You have, because there is discounting involved. Because there is discounting involved, so you have to do it like this. You have to do it in the first, when it is 10% and 10.5, and then you calculate the two, get the difference among them. At 11 points, bank gains. Then you go when the bank is a buyer, and you calculate it according to 10, the market, and 10.1, which is the FRA, and the difference is this, and the bank is losses. So actually, you want to decrease this amount from this amount, and this is what we have done. 11,723. This is 1172 minus 234. The answer is 938. Now this could be a big problem for, time consuming for a multiple choice question. Okay. This is the calculation on this FRAs. Now let me go back. Any questions here? So you have to understand that this is risk management when the bank, because we are talking about FRA in terms of speculation, hedging, and risk management. Now here is actually the hedging, the speculation. Because there's no physical assets. Here actually is the risk management. This is risk management. Is the bank is smart in putting himself here with the same amount here and here, which means the exposure is 1 million here and 1 million here, he will never lose. The problem is when becomes 1 million, for example, 5 million, and this is 1 million. So, or maybe in this case, if this is 5 million, and this is 1 million, as you can see, he will make a big losses because he will gain, yes, he will gain this amount, but he will make losses in the other side. Bigger losses because you are talking about 5 million. So to settle yourself, to put the exposure is the key question here. Okay, let me go now to this question. How is financial institution exposed to interest rate risk when it makes loan commitments? In what way can a financial institution control this risk? How does basis risk affect the implementation of control of interest rate risk? So when financial institution makes a fixed rate loan commitment, it faces an interest rate risk because there is an increase. You are promising a customer to give him a loan with certain interest rate fixed now. So if the interest rate risk are changes, then there will be risk for the financial institution because you will lend that loan with a cost less than the market. You can always change, or you can make variable rate. You can this reduces actually the interest income if the borrower decide to take down the loan. And of course, when the interest rate goes up, the borrower will take the loan because the bank is committed to give him the loan with the low interest rate that engaged or included in the contract. So when the interest rate goes up in the future, he will stick to the old contract of the loan commitment and take it with the old rate. Now, however, this still does not protect against basis risk, which means you can do it variable. You can say, okay, this is loan commitment, but it's according to changes in the interest rate. The problem is when you do that, the increase or the decrease in the increase or the decrease because you have deposits, which is the sources funds, and you have loans. Now, when there is decrease and increase, there is a difference in the basis. It's not actually the same for the deposits. And for example, if this is was 6% and it goes to 7%, maybe this goes to 7.5%, and this is the loans goes from 8% to 9%. As you can see, they don't go 1% in the deposit side. This is what we call basis differences. Okay. Let me go to the how is the financial institutions exposed to credit risk? Because if you give a loan and then a commitment, we are talking about loan commitment, and if you give a loan and the credit quality of the borrower declines, you cannot do anything. You have just to go out with the to continue with granting the loan. Um, so it has the you are obligated to deliver the loan, even if there is decline in the rating. Because if there is a decline in the rating, the premium should increase, which means interest should increase. But actually, you cannot do that because you are obligated, and therefore, um, um, there is currently, some clauses in the contract saying if there is a drop in the client rating, the bank can increase the rate. But actually, banks don't do that. They are it creates too much problem, especially when you are talking with big customers and you are and the loan is big. So in this case, when you later on start to argue about the rating of the customer and you want to increase the rate for a loan commitment, it just hurts the reputation of the bank. So this is actually what makes the bank and the loan commitment exposed to interest rate risk. Um, Now, interest rate risk is also related to credit risk, because when interest rate risk increases, there is two issues. The um, the customer itself will increase the cost to uh, they will have to increase the price of their products. For example, the client is producing any type of products, they will have to increase their returns. And when they increase their returns, they will be actually subject of uh, a problem of not getting those returns. And that will actually, the interest rate will create a risk for the customer, and also will create uh, because he want to increase his returns, and also he has to pay more to the bank. All of this create credit risk, which means he may default, the client may default. This is the issue of how interest rate, how this credit risk can be created from loan commitment and because of the changes in the interest rate. So you have interest rate increasing in the future and you have loan commitment, then this is what would happen to the to the client and to the bank. Of course, the client will be under uh, pressure, and he may not perform very well, and end of the day he will go to credit risk. I think we have only question 4. Let me go this. I think we have 1 minute more. I think we have done this. Uh, so this is about the drawdown risk and aggregate funding. Um, Please understand that when there is a risk, when there is a drawdown, that will actually create an aggregate. If you give loan commitments, so many loan commitments, it's just like this. If you make loan commitments and interest rate goes up, interest rate goes up, then most customers will withdraw the loans because they are making benefits. When they take the loan commitment, interest rate was less. Now it goes up, most customers will want to withdraw. And in this case, what would happen is that will create liquidity problem for the bank and what we call aggregate funding risk. Aggregate funding risk. Do contingent risk of interest rate, drawdown, credit, and aggregate fund tend to increase the insolvency of the bank? That is right. So if you have this risk actually can have adverse effect on the solvency of the bank. There is, for example, if the rate rises, funding will become shorter, drawdowns will likely to increase, credit quality of borrowers will become lower, and all of those actually will create what we call, will affect the solvency of the bank. So you have, fundings will be shorter, and the drawdowns will likely to increase. And then there is a chance that there is a possibility that the credit quality of the borrower will become lower, and you cannot change that. And all of those, if they can accumulate, you have interest rate, you have now interest rate risk, you have liquidity risk because of the drawdown of the loans, and you have what we call liquidity risk. I think this is the last question. I am done. So the last question is, which of the following statement is true? An off-balance sheet item is recorded. This is the right thing, which is off-balance sheet. An off-balance sheet liability is an item that moves onto the liability side of the balance sheet when it becomes when a contingent event occurs. Okay. I think I'm done. You can. It's 6:30. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to finish the last question, and I am actually done. Thank you very much. And any questions? Okay. So thank you very much, and see you next week. And for those, enjoy the break.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.